Alright, picture this. You've got your eye on a massive skyscraper in the middle of New York City. You think, wow, I'd like to have a bit of that. But then reality kicks in and you realize unless you've got Jeff Bezos money, that's probably not happening. Imagine that skyscraper could be divided into tiny, affordable pieces, kind of like buying shapes of a company. You don't need millions to own the whole building. Instead, you could buy a small percentage of it. You're essentially buying a slice of that asset in the form of digital token, as that token represents your ownership stake. You can trade it, you can sell it, or hold on to it like a prized possession. So congratulations, you now own a fraction of a New York skyscraper without ever stepping foot into Manhattan, and all that through the magic of blockchain technology. By the way, if you want to own a piece of that latest financial knowledge, no skyscraper required, hit that subscribe button, join the crew, and we'll conquer the financial world together, brick by tokenized brick. How does tokenization work? So now that you've got an idea, you can own a fraction of that shiny skyscraper or fancy painting. How exactly does this magic happen? Well, imagine you've got that massive asset like the New York skyscraper we talked about. Instead of asking someone to buy the whole thing, good luck with that. Tokenization steps in to make it easier. You divide the building into small digital pieces, which we can call tokens. Each token represents a shape of ownership in that building. It's like owning shares in the company, except now you own a piece of a real world stuff. And here is the cool part, these tokens live on the blockchain, so no paperwork, no middleman, no confusing contracts. You just buy, sell, or hold these tokens in the digital wallet. No need to fly to New York to deal with brokers. It's all done with a few clicks. Plus, thanks to blockchain transparency, you can always check how much of that skyscraper you can really own. So instead of needing millions to get involved, you can get started with a much smaller investment and boom, you're part of an asset owning game. Key points. Now you're probably thinking, okay, I can get it. I can own a slice of something big and shiny, but why should I care? Well, let's break it down. First, liquidity. Ever tried selling a building? Yeah, not exactly something you throw up on eBay, right? But with tokenization, you're turning that building into smaller pieces, making it easier to buy and sell. Instead of waiting months or years to find a buyer for the whole skyscraper, you can trade your tokens pretty much instantly. You've just taken something traditionally slow and illiquid and turned it into something fast and easy to move. Second, accessibility. You don't need to be a millionaire or fly to fancy real estate auction. You can be chilling at home in your pajamas and still invest in high-value assets. It's all in your phone, or laptop, and you can buy as much or as little as you want. Tokenization opened the door to people who normally wouldn't have access to these kinds of investments. And finally, security and transparency. The blockchain keeps everything out in the open. Every transaction is recorded, so there is no shady business. Plus, no more trusting your friend's cousin's roommate to handle your investment. You can trust the blockchain, and that's some next level peace of mind. Now let's talk about real-world use cases. Alright, now that you're sold on how cool tokenization is, let's look at where this is actually happening in the real world. Because yeah, this isn't something futuristic in science fantasy, it's real and it's happening right now. Take real estate, for example. Remember that skyscraper we've talked about earlier? This is already a thing. Real estate developers are splitting up building into tokens, letting people like you and me invest in prime real estate without having to take out second mortgage. For instance, there is a project in New York where they tokenized part of luxury condo building. So instead of needing millions, you could just grab a few tokens and boom, you're a real estate investor. Or take art. Normally only a handful of ultra-wealthy collectors could dream of owning a Picasso or Monet. But thanks to tokenization, they now splitting ownership of these masterpieces into tiny fractions. You could literally own a part of the famous painting, and who knows, you could be the proud owner of 0.01% of Van Gogh. Cooler than just having a poster on your wall, right? And it's not just about physical assets either. Companies are using tokenization to raise funds through security tokens offering, which are like the cool modern cousin in the IPO. Instead of buying shares in the traditional sense, investors get tokens that represent equity in the company. It's a whole new way of investment. So what is the future potential? Now that we've explored how tokenization works and where it's already been used, let's talk about the future. Spoiler alert, it's looking pretty bright. Picture this, a world where practically everything can be tokenized. Anything. We are talking about real estate, art, stocks, cars, and even more creative stuff like intellectual property. Tokenization has the potential to completely shake up traditional finance and the way we invest. You'll no longer need giant banks, loan contracts, and endless paperwork. Instead, owning a piece of your dream asset will be as easy as buying something online. But it's not just about making things easier. Tokenization could change who gets access to wealth building opportunities. People who've never been able to invest in high value assets before, either because they didn't have enough money or weren't in the right network, can now jump into with small amounts and start building their portfolios. It's like leveling the playing field. And this could expand beyond traditional market. Imagine being able to invest in the next big tech startup by owning a few tokens in it from day one, or even having a stake in your favorite sport team. That's the kind of potential we're talking about here. The future of tokenization isn't just a trend, it's going to be a game changer for how we think about ownership, investment, and financial assets. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and keep learning how to take advantages of this new financial frontier, make sure to hit the subscribe button, join the community, and let's navigate the future of finance together. And don't forget to like the video if you found it useful, because we've got a lot more cool stuff coming your way. Catch you in the next one. Your Maria.